So, guys, welcome to the Frame Podcast. It's been a while. Hopefully, you're all doing well. I've got Femi and Dwan with me once again here, and lads, I
Yeah.
don't know if it was since we've been the last time we've been into lockdown, but we're back down again, and it feels like forever. How are you guys coping?
Well, I don't know. Personally, for me, I'm already like tired of it. Really, like I don't. I'm feeling drained. I'm just feeling drained and like
Yeah,
tired. But you just have to deal with it, I guess. Yeah.
it's just it's just
What about you,
piled
Dylan?
more misery, isn't it? I mean, the whole year's been crap. I
Mm,
keep repeating that like every time we have a conversation about COVID, whatever. It's always the negativity of 2020, and
mm,
then now you got a lockdown too. I don't know if it's how many more parts are gonna come after it, with the way things are going. The vaccine, they managed to find a vaccine, but we don't know um, how it actually helps.
mm,
And then Boris Johnson, I think he announced that yeah, you shouldn't trust it.
Wait, did you
Is
say that?
it?
Yeah, he basically said, yeah, I mean, it's not gonna really help, but it's something we're looking forward to in terms of for the future.
Mm,
So I don't know. It's just personally probably staying with you and you guys and probably anyone else,
mm,
rather deal with the COVID than put a vaccine in
mm,
that you're not sure of.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to target old people and stuff, and that's my issue at the moment is that obviously we spent 12 billion pounds on this track and trace apps that doesn't work. They lost a load of files and stuff. I think Boris Johnson is scheduled to put 120 billion pounds in. Now that means we're going to have to go into more lockdown stuff like that. I'd rather just take that money, give it to the NHS,
Mm,
make sure that's funded. So if this happens again, we won't need to go into lockdown. There'll
mm,
be enough people, enough staff be able to deal with everybody. Because bearing in mind, with flu season
Yeah,
coming, it does kill off a load of old people as well.
yeah.
So they know what they're doing with the situation. They're aware of COVID. So we
Mm,
kind of it's just a bad idea overall. But I get why Boris Johnson's not doing it because that money that they're going to the NHS instead of going to the track and trace app, well, that's money that's going to his friends and stuff like that.
mm,
So he'd rather take the money from his government and give it to them than actually give it to the NHS and actually build it up. So the reason why we're in lockdown now, even I've speaking to some health professionals that were saying like, if we just had more money, we could deal with the number of people that are hospitalized.
yeah,
We could deal with it. Worldwide, yeah, there's been 3,000 cases or whatever, but most of the people that are getting, if they're young, will be able to survive and stuff like
yeah.
that. It's just the elderly.
yeah.
So this is the thing at the moment where I'm just kind of like, I mean, it makes sense, just kind of like expand the NHS, but they're not willing to do that.
Oh, and there's not many beds left. That's their worry at the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
And why is
there's just
that?
too, yeah,
Enough funding in it.
Exactly. So
Mm,
it's like they want to say, oh, there's not enough beds left. Yeah, because you've been cutting them for so many years.
yeah.
mm,
So there's kind of a question I'm really annoyed that people aren't really asking about COVID, which is, well, why are they cutting beds? Why is there this little amount of beds, and why is the NHS being stretched as much as it is? And it's because
mm.
people have been not funding it.
It's
Yeah.
a very strange lockdown. I mean, there are still shops open,
Yeah.
some restaurants still open, schools are still open
University.
this time, universities. So it's not really a lockdown. It's just an advisory that you should stay home,
Mm.
but the
But
businesses are
then,
sort of reluctant from it.
yeah. But then, how would they? But then, if obviously stuff is still open, but how would that actually reduce cases then? Because the first lockdown that we had was like everything was completely shut. Everything was really really strict, and that obviously maybe worked to bring down the cases. But for now, when schools were still open, universities are still open,
Yeah.
shops are still kind of open as well. And if you can work from home, you can. But obviously, most companies probably won't necessarily want you to work from home anyway. So it's like it's not really a lockdown, but and I don't know how that would obviously bring down the cases as much as the
Yeah.
first one. But apparently it's working though, so I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just not.
Just
I'm not an anti-vax or anything, but
Mhm.
one thing I am annoyed about is the amount that people are going on about this vaccine. Like it reminds me of like a superhero movie where they find the antidote to everything, and they're like, "Oh, this will solve everything." And I'm like, "Well, it will make you more resistant, sure,
yeah,
but it's not gonna prevent you from getting corona and stuff like that. Like fully, it's just 90%, but." I don't want to sound like, oh yeah, vaccines don't work or anything. They blatantly do work. We've eliminated polio and stuff like that for years now. They do work.
yeah,
However, the fact that we're holding on to this thing that we're gonna like, towards the end of the movie, and they finally get it, and then everybody gets it and everybody's happy. It just feels like there's one thing, and it'll like, if you kill the main boss leader, and then everybody else just dies. That's kind of how it feels like. Oh, we can't
Yeah.
wait to get this out, and I'm just like, well, it's not that bad. Can we just calm down?
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually true. Like for the vaccine, I'm not even not a lot of people aren't necessarily trusting it as well. Like obviously they're saying that initially I can't remember who said it, but one of the people from the government were like, I think early December they're gonna start rolling out the vaccine and they'll start from the elderly and most vulnerable. Obviously they'll have them start taking it, and then before that they start progressing on to giving it to everyone else. But I'm just wondering, like, at this current stage, especially when you go online and you read what people are saying, it seems as if people do not want to take the vaccine. Like, they are somewhat against the idea of obviously taking something that hasn't been fully tested yet. Apparently
Yeah,
this vaccine it took them a year to make, and for any
It hasn't
other
even been a year. It's not
exactly,
been
and
a
any
year
other yeah,
because
and for
what
any other like yeah, go on.
it came. We got the lockdown in March, wasn't it?
Yeah,
So
that's
hmm
true.
and when
Yeah,
the peak was sort of in April,
yeah,
so that's when they were probably at that time starting the vaccine.
mhm,
So it's
yeah,
not really been a year.
yeah. And they said on a normal basis for a vaccine to even be made, it takes about 18 months, and they're rushing this one to make it, and we're not even 100% sure if it's safe. If it's safe, if it's taking them half the time or even less than half the time to make a vaccine, you're like, can you actually really trust it?
yeah.
But
And if you want to move, and also it's not like the end of the world if you get COVID. Do you know what I mean?
exactly, yeah,
It's not
yeah. You
like,
can't
oh, you
survive.
get COVID, you lose two arms, three, you lose, if you lose something like both arms or sight or something, it's something
Mhm,
that your body can recover from, especially
mhm.
if you're young.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yes, we should be doing what we can to support the elderly and help the most vulnerable, which I totally get. But
Mhm.
to rely on this and
Yeah,
and to do it in this way, which just seems a bit unnecessary, if you know what I
Yeah,
mhm.
mean.
Yeah. I
because
100%, yeah, I 100% think that as well because it's like we can't, as they say, for young people anyway, you have what is it, a 90% survival? Is it sort of even
Even
90%
more,
survival?
even
Even
more.
more, yeah. And then you have a
That's why
vaccine.
young children don't even have to wear masks.
Exactly. And then you have a vaccine that's 90% like effective. But so if it's 90% effective and we young people have like over 90% of actually, surviving the COVID, there really shouldn't be a need for the vaccine. But obviously you can probably hand the vaccine to the most vulnerable. But I don't really think that it would be something that we young people and everyone has to take because it's
yeah,
it, we
personally, right
yeah,
now, I'm not gonna take it.
yeah,
Even if they
like
throw it over for free, I'm not trusting now.
but did you hear what Boris Johnson did? No, it's not Boris Johnson. It's Matt Hancock. That's his name, I think. He said he said I don't know if that's his proper name, but I'm just
Yeah,
but he did say that they're gonna get armed forces to aid in giving the vaccine. So maybe in the future they might get like armies to be knocking on the door, and if you don't open the door, they just bust right in and just pin you down.
what,
And pin you down to
what
the
sort of
floor
communism country, man? What's going on?
and just
But
bust you down.
it's not like measles or something like that. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Where it's like it's lethal,
Hmm.
or meningitis or something. You have all these jabs for like hepatitis and stuff
Hmm.
like that.
Yeah,
That's real life like danger. And
Yeah.
I know it will be for certain people, but I just want to see how prevalent it is compared to the common cold, because it seems to be some people are carrying it and they're not doing it. I think one thing in future, I think they need to mandate is if you have a cold, if you have a cough, and you need to leave your house, you have to wear a mask. Can't be going on public transports. You know, Dawn, you're YouTuber, but you lived in London. You've seen it.
Yeah.
There's sneezing and and stuff like that. You have, like, if that's the case, you have to wear a mask, because first of all, you shouldn't be getting on it, public transport, if you don't have to, and second, and then if you do, then you should definitely wear a mask and get all that crap into there, because it's one thing I think Asia's got right for a while. That's the reason why Japan and Korea and these countries that did have big spikes initially have actually calmed it quite easily, because people are actually statistically wearing masks as well.
Yeah.
But they're also, following guidelines, but no one here is actually following guidelines. People shouting, "Oh, why are you telling me what to do? I don't want to be told what to do." Well, it's because you're fucking stupid, mate. If you were smart enough and you could just follow the guidelines and sort of, maintain everyone's health, then we wouldn't be asking you what to do, you fucking moron.
Please keep it PG.
No, I'm just saying, but it just causes anger on you, because those lunatics are the ones that are creating these cases to rise even more. It's bloody difficult.
I know, yeah.
I don't know what it's like in Africa, but in Asia, and I don't know about the Middle East as well, but in Asia, there's a sense of community and a sense of like, we'll get through this together as one country. And more in the West, there seems to be an emphasis on the individuality and like the individual. I can do what I can. That's why you're seeing so many crazy people in America going, the mask caused corona and stuff like that, and because their opinion is valid. But rather than kind of, if this, there was, I was reading a report in India where India's getting really bad, but however, they are doing what they can as a country. And got to remember, that small space with 1.3 billion, 1.4 billion people. It was, and also I can't remember what percent of the population is just cast as like, literally they're like rats. They're treated by the government as like they don't exist. They're untouchables, unseeables. They're just walking around with corona, spreading it like no tomorrow, because the government hasn't decided. But it's anyway. There was literally people, if you're going outside your house towards the beginning, people were like ganging up together and then just hunting them down with sticks and telling them to go home and like hitting them, because that's that kind of, there's that same mentality of like, look, we got to do this together. Get home, otherwise we'll chase you with sticks. I just don't know if it's as prevalent in the Middle East or Africa. I just know that I know Asia is quite like that.
Yeah. I don't know actually. Currently in Nigeria, I don't even think they care. We're still
with the whole situation with
demonstrations. Yes.
I don't even think. But actually, did we? Oh yeah, no, we didn't have a podcast.
We didn't cover it, Femi.
No, with the police brutality over there.
Yeah, I think the world now is just. I think because of COVID, obviously people have a lot of time now, so it's like people are just like rioting, not even rioting. I mean protesting like everywhere. Like now, obviously the SARS.
Don't you think? Sorry, don't you think it's just the deep frustration we have with the way everything is locked down. You have to stay home. You have all these things to do, and you can't do. You can't have your enjoyment of life because of all these limitations. And people are sort of all frustrated and angry, and they're trying to use any sort of I don't want to say excuse, because a lot of these points are valid. I mean, the police brutality in Nigeria, the Black Lives Matter situation in America, these things are very important. But a lot of people are showing, support or showing their frustration with the way they're being handled or being treated. And the whole COVID, the elections in America with Donald Trump saying there's a scandal, whatever. It's crazy.
That's the West, though. I think what it is, it's like, what's interesting about Nigeria and that what's happening is that it picked up mainstream news. I've never seen a Western country really commented on if it wasn't at the risk of, because normally it's like, well, they do what they do, and there's a sense of they're kind of savages. This is what they do because they don't have
Yeah.
democracy and blah
Mhm.
blah blah. Insert, we are the free country, we are the best country in
Yeah.
Europe. But it's the first time I've ever seen them actually come out and go, this is what the people are saying. This is
Yeah.
why they're right. This
Uh-huh.
this is why they're protesting. And it was quite fair. I think for the first, I don't know about you, Femi. Obviously, you've got a different perspective on this, but
Mhm.
from an outsider seeing it, obviously, I was hearing from you and Manny and other people as well
Mhm.
that it just seemed quite. It was just about the injustice rather than about this is what happens in Nigeria kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get what you're saying basically, because like Nigeria in itself, it's a very, I don't want to say corrupt place, but I think it's just that the few individuals who obviously are ruling the country aren't necessarily the most selfless. They're not the most selfless people. So, and that kind of stems down through the entire country. Like if you've got like a corrupt few at the top, that would just stem down everywhere. It would just spread everywhere. For example, like facilities that should be open to the general public normally wouldn't be open because there are few people that would make a lot of money from it if it stayed closed and open to
Mm.
certain individuals who are rich enough to purchase or come into that facility. So it's like it's not even just about the police. It stems even deeper than just the police. The corruption is it's so massive that it's like you don't necessarily know where to start. And I think obviously them doing this, them protesting SARS and the police brutality is at least, I see it at least as a starting point. But now it's just to be able to carry on the momentum and try and keep pushing and pushing and not necessarily say, oh, we've been appeased with like a bag of rice now, so that's it now. Let's stop. No, it's to try and push and just see what they can get. If they can at least try and reform the country, it would be good. But
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think it's possible. But it would be good if they actually could try and I don't know, do something to just change the system.
So what?
Because
Yeah.
yeah, go on, yeah.
Sorry, sorry.
Hmm.
But all this protest,
Hmm.
even the West talking about it, especially because of the uh, Nigerian sort of culture sort of being spread out all around the world, and they're demonstrating in those parts of sort of the West or even the East. The issue is, do you think your voice is actually being heard? Do you think the Nigerians' voice have been heard around the world, or do you think it's sort of heard, but nothing's really being dealt about it, or nothing's really happening? Like, for example, do you think, personally, I think sort of the US election was a more bigger
Hmm.
conversation than what's
Yeah.
going on in Nigeria all around the world, or parts of the world that having all these issues and demonstrations and problems that is being sort of ignored.
Yeah, I do. I don't. I see where you're coming from, and it's true. I don't necessarily think that. I think initially, obviously, as you said, Neil, that no one wanted to pay attention to what was going on in Nigeria because obviously they have a certain idea that okay, we Nigerians or we Africans, don't necessarily know what democracy is and stuff. So there's no need to shed light on it. But I think as things started to get a bit worse, and it sort of got a bit of light. People did pay a bit of attention to it. Obviously, it would be better if they got more attention, which I don't think now. And I think it's kind of died down. No one is even talking about it anymore. It's like it's gone, but it's still happening. And that's kind of like the problem because now that obviously no one is paying attention to it anymore, and obviously it's kind of now dying down. Change won't necessarily be able to happen because
Mm.
now that everyone's eyes are turned away and focused on something else, there won't be an opportunity for change,
Yeah,
and I think kind of like in terms of people looking in, yeah, that might have turned away, but in terms of the key figures in Nigeria, like in terms of the key people in Nigeria, what I kind of understood or what kind of happened that got them to kind of listen, because if you actually go and look at what they're doing now, it seems they are at least trying to change like several things. And I think why that even took place is because there was a time when they were protesting, and then I think the army decided to go in and open fire on all the protesters. And the response that got is that instead of the protesters going away and feeling scared and just stopping, which is normally what would happen in the past, where the government would just send in the army, spray some people down with bullets, and that's it. Instead of that to happen, what they then did is they went to target those, instead of being like a senseless riot of burning everywhere and just doing anything. What they did, they went to go target those key individuals. They went to their houses and their family houses and start burning it down, basically saying, if you take action against us or kill any of us, we're gonna come directly to you. Basically, we can obviously attack you directly. We're gonna go to your family's houses and burn it down, and your businesses and burn it down, instead of obviously having senseless riots. And that kind of triggered something with them, and that kind of obviously made them think, oh, okay, they're kind of getting smart now. They're getting smart now, innit? So we need to kind of listen. So yeah, I don't know actually, but we'll just have to kind of wait and see, and hopefully things gets better. But we never know, you know. Never know.
Yeah, it's obviously not good, but they tend to run with one story and then change it up and then run with another. When it's like you look at what happened in Lebanon with the whole explosions and stuff like that, and it was awful. And we went, oh my god, that's awful, that's awful. Then people protested the government, then the government stepped down. Then all of a sudden, this story disappeared. And obviously, you imagine how many people are still without homes, without this, without that, and that is still an issue at the moment. But it just seems to be like focus is here, and then it just goes right over here, and then it just kind of like it's here and it comes, and then it just disappears slowly. It just fades into nothing, and it's like it didn't exist. And that's the same kind of thing that happened in like Haiti when the typhoons hit, or Hurricane Katrina, where it was like, yeah, these massive, or even what happened in Japan, where it was like these hurricanes or these natural disasters came, they tore the place up, and you just saw like miles of just
nothing's
nothing.
left.
Yeah, exactly. And then it was kind of like, that's bad. Okay, now on to the next story, where nobody's really finishing up with these things. But to kind of play devil's advocate, to come back to what I was saying, like to have that perspective of what you were saying with Nigeria being represented in the right way, rather than these are people that are protesting peacefully and they're asking for real change and real responses, that's been heard on the mass scale as well. And that's also where social media comes into play. We're in this new generation now where you get 57 different times where you can't say to them delete this when it's on live stream. And when you've got a mobile phone in your hand and you're recording them, what can they do? When, yes, some people will be taking video, some people are doing it live. And like we saw against the BLM protests and stuff like that, where people were live streaming the footage. So anything they could do was straight uploaded, and that video could be ripped, published to a news site or something like that, and blow up. And we don't need to rely on traditional media and also to cherry pick the narrative that we hear.
Yeah, that's actually true. The internet kind of works against the establishment, I guess.
Yeah, it's the reason why the whole BLM thing came. Otherwise, it would have been reported as man that was had a cardiac arrest or something like that on the way to the hospital.
Yeah.
But we saw the video, and it was, I think I was telling you, like a 15-year-old girl that had the wisdom to like, look, this is wrong, I know, film it. And so we're coming from the source.
Exactly, and everything that we get information we see from people. It's not just from the news, because there's always a bias point of view from it. We just see what the source is. We don't need someone to explain it. We can see what is actually going on. You know, so for example, the George Floyd situation, where police officer had his knee on his neck. You know, he didn't have to write what is going on. We just found out that the person suffocated and died from that moment. You know, it's like, and then all that sort of reaction and disappointment came, and you know, it is that the internet has helped in many ways, but it has also ruined lives in many other ways as well.
Yeah, I guess so. There's obviously with it, I think the internet is both a brilliance and a bad. It's both good and bad at the same time. Where you can look at it and you can whatever. I think the internet is so big and so massive that whatever you want to see in it, you can see in it. Whether it be the dark web and some of the horrible stuff that comes on behind the scenes, or the good that charities and businesses, or it's allowed people to work from home and stuff, you can see the amazing stuff that's happened on both sides. So I think it's one of those things where, again, it allows people to see what they want to see,
Yeah.
whether it's negative or positive. And I think a lot of the mainstream media is scared because you look at the rise of what they used to be when it turns to like media on television, and that is slowly dying. Radio is dying. Podcasts are coming in. Live streaming is coming in. So you've got all these other new mediums, and they don't really know how to process it because there's a lot of money to be made. It's even like the way that I forgot what it was. I think for the last 5 years, movies have made the movie industry has made less money than the video game industry. Yet the video game industry has still not been taken seriously because it's still, oh well, that's just something that it's still it's seen as mainstream, but it's still seen as, oh, you play video games, well, that's a waste of time, as somebody goes and enjoys a series for 7 hours. Do you know what I mean? So there's that kind of double standard that I think that the old media is kind of just dying off slowly but surely.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's actually good, really, because it's like it's giving more power to the people. At least allowing people to be able to do their own research and be able to think for themselves instead of depending on what some guy on the TV is telling you what to think, basically.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff going on in America now, like all the election stuff and all of the just everything in general, basically. Like if you watch the news over there, like CNN and just CNN. I can't remember the rest. But it was
Fox
CNN,
News.
for example. Fox News.
It's
Exactly.
fake news. I love it, fake news.
You've been practicing that. But,
Probably got nothing else to do over quarantine. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Practice Trump impression.
And if you look at all of those media outlets, it's like initially journalism used to be about individuals, about news anchors, literally just stating what the news is and reading that out to people. But now it seems as if journalists have started to include their own opinions, especially like American news. You see them like literally giving their own opinions, which is a bit unprofessional. And you're like, should they be doing that, or should they just stick to, because if they're giving their own opinions, then that would obviously influence everyone else watching it. It would influence how you receive that information. While you need to, as a journalist, needs to be neutral. Basically, you shouldn't be too expressive with your.
I get what you mean, Femi, but also remember a lot of the news that we're seeing is owned by Rupert Murdoch. What do you think his opinion gets over more? The journalist reporter or Rupert Murdoch's report? So the thing is, it's like I think there's loads and loads of reports that come to them constantly, and they've got 100 reports. They look at them and they go, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one, not this one. This one fits my agenda. This one fits my agenda. This one fits my agenda. This one.
That's how it is, yeah.
And they report them. So I think you're right to a certain extent where they are, and we want to hear from people's opinions, and we do. But at the same time, you want that it's always been filtered through you could have the best piece in the world where you're like, I don't know. It turns out that somebody at number 10 has a document that's going to defund the entire NHS. And you go and go, look, this story is going to be massive. We're going to really make people really want to hear about it. And if Rupert Murdoch, obviously, these guys are big. They know how to talk to these top countries as literally like companies. And they go, nah, sorry, we can't report that. That goes against our friendship. And we've got more money to make off that. So now somebody else can pick it up. So I think it's good. But also I think that looking at the American elections, for example, it's so divided, man. I think they kind of had it in this country after Brexit, but compared to Brexit, this just seems like another level of lunacy. What's going on just during everything?
It is. It is like even now, like even right now, like obviously you have the right, you have the left, you have the people that voted for Biden, you have people that voted for Trump. Although, and obviously they said Biden has won the election, he is the president now and everything, but then obviously you have the other people who are saying that there's some sort of like election fraud, so it needs to be investigated. So it's like the amount of division that's going on in that country, it's crazy. And what I feel is that in the coming months, the best thing for every other country should do is to get a popcorn and just literally just sit down and literally watch what's happening, because it will be
You
It's
know
a
what would
big
be
reality
funny?
be
It
TV
would be
entertaining.
show at the moment. You're
it,
right.
fe- it
It
feels
will.
like when Trump is going to turn into this sort of little baby and he's going to grab hold of this, the chair that he sits on in the White House, while some Joe Biden's trying to pull him away from her and say this is my spot. Literally.
They're fighting for the chair.
Yeah, but you know what? I think
I
that's
don't
all
know.
behind the scenes as well. I
I know.
think behind the scenes, them two are
They're,
chill. Them
they're
two are
friends. I
billionaires.
know. They're just
They're,
it's
they're
just
not
He was
millionaires,
playing
but they're
golf.
both millionaires and stuff.
yeah.
So they're just kind of like, yeah, that was kind of fun. I think part of them are treating it like a little bit like they've got their fighters, like their supporters fighting against one another. They're just like, are you seeing that down there? Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
what are you up to? Like they could probably, do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
all. I think it is all show. I think they all know each other.
Yeah, 100%. For example, I think Bush and Obama. Obviously, Bush was Republican and Obama is obviously Democrat. And initially, you were like thinking that, whoa, they don't like each other. But then after obviously all the election stuff is done, you see them hanging out playing golf and being all friendly, and you're like, oh, I thought you guys didn't like each other. What the
You
hell?
get with the click. You get with the click. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know. It's
It's just
I think I think people in general, we are just getting worked up over nothing. We're just getting worked up over something that we shouldn't even be losing sleep over. While obviously the other people at the top, you know, playing the game and just putting on the show would most likely just be like laughing at everyone, just being stupid, really.
But then
But,
again, from that same logic, you could use exactly the same rhetoric for the SARS thing in Nigeria.
yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah. I'm sure they probably would. They probably would be. They probably would have been laughing and be like, "Look at all these idiots protesting. Just send some firing squads on them."
Yeah, literally, yeah.
that's what
Yeah,
happened, isn't it?
yeah, that's what they would do, and yeah, they did it. But I don't know. It's. I just feel like 2020 has just kind of made everything like unravel, basically. Like people are just going like crazy and people are just doing whatever, and obviously there's some people that are taking it as an opportunity to to do illegal stuff, do stuff that aren't necessarily the best
Yeah.
choice or the best way of action or whatever. But to be honest, overall, I just hope that 2021 will bring something good. But from the looks of it, I think this will still go on the way to like 2021, like the coronavirus, the election thing in America, the protest everywhere, Brexit. We don't even know what's going on with Brexit. It's
What
looking
we
like a
know is
no
that we're
deal.
apparently going out, but how?
It's looking more like a no deal because they keep
It's,
saying like Boris keeps saying that it keeps looking like a no. We don't even know. I don't even know what's going on with Brexit anymore. Like
Bro,
that's
even
the point.
people that are majorly pro Brexit aren't happy.
I know we don't
So
know
he's
that.
pissed
No.
off the whole country by not
Yeah,
doing anything. Like people that was like, oh yeah, we're gonna have this kind of deal and this kind of deal. Well, he's not achieved that, so we're gonna
no,
have a really so nobody is happy apart from the extreme people that's like get us out under any
yeah,
circumstance.
yeah,
Literally, that's the only people that are happy. And the thing is, if the UK does that no deal, America's going to come swooping in and then go right. We're just going to we'll just do everything our way, and we know how to do it, and our special relationship will be enticed even more.
yeah.
it will
But
So
I,
be
be
prepared for
horrendous.
chlorinated chicken, guys.
ooh,
Uh, I
oh
guess
man,
we'll have to turn into vegetarians.
that's not sounding that's sounding good, innit? I'll become a
The issue
vegetarian.
is that when we had our conversation before, the power of the West has just demoralized. It's
100.
it's no longer. You know, that power that USA had, people are finding America as a joke. You know,
Yeah.
people are using it, having conversations about, oh, look at them. You know, we could have been them as a, like wherever they're from. You know, even if they're in Middle East or other countries, they're looking at America and saying, wow, what a joke that country is. Or UK going out of
Yeah.
EU, losing all that power.
I know.
And trust and liability has sort of thrown out. All those, the fact that you can, we're part of the EU. We had this contract to be part of the EU, but also use our own currency. Okay, we're gonna leave EU. We'll still have our currency, obviously, but what happens is we're gonna be on our own. We have to start from fresh. You know, all those years being part of EU, doing all those trades, being reliant on it. Now you've got to be reliant on yourself, and that's going to take time. And then, how is it going to take time? Who's going to be trained for it? It's like training a child to I don't know, whatever. It's something like turning them into a mechanic at the age of 3. It's just going to take time, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. I think the coronavirus is a great way of measuring how well a country fits and has dealt with it. Obviously every size, geographic location, all this has a massive impact. But you look at how how certain countries have got it, changed it, developed it, and then moved on from it. While us in America and certain other countries are still stuck with the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Some of these countries like China and that, I know it's a communist country, whatever, but they're back to normal, and they didn't have to have a vaccine.
No,
and also it's parts of Europe, Denmark. What was it they were killing?
Minks.
Minks, yeah, and they use it for fur, I believe, for a lot of fur, fleece. Sorry.
Oh, really?
And they've gone cheap now, because the amount that they've killed of those minks. Yeah, it's just too many now. There's too many.
Well, they saturated the market.
Literally.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's true though. Like obviously the coronavirus did kind of show how kind of just show how efficient each country is in terms of dealing with like a major crisis. Like, because normally you look at the West, every other country, as you said, Duan, like every other country would look at the West and always think, wow, imagine if our country were like that. It would be, it would be great. They're the free country, they're the free world. They have democracy, they have everything. But now
the American dream.
Exactly, the American dream. What American dream?
Getting COVID and shut down your small business.
and now we're here. And remember the start of the coronavirus, like when the virus started, they were like, oh my gosh, the third world countries are going to suffer the most. They won't be able to handle this. And the way they were going on about it, and like fast forward like a few months later, who is having it the worst now?
Yeah.
It's like,
and also the way it was reported when it was happening over there, it was like, yeah, it's okay. It became pandemic. Yeah, it's all right.
Exactly.
And then as soon as it came over to England, it's like, oh, it's a big deal, big deal, big deal. And I'm like, yeah, this is what happens a little bit as well. And also it shows, I forgot what I was going to say, but yeah, it's just like, I think it's a good example of every country has got it at some instances. How do you deal with it?
And that usually shows how strong your country is and how much community your country has. Because if everyone within your country is able to come together and work together in order to reach a common goal, then that kind of just shows the strength of your country. Like if a war was to break out now, that everyone would gather together and support each other to obviously get your country through that struggle. Like, imagine if a war was to break out. How do you think America would deal with it?
Well, they're at war with everybody anyway. Trust. They want to be at war with everybody.
Oh shit!
Not Americans, but the military-industrial complex. It suits them to be at war with everybody at all times. They're just looking for the next person. Look what happened at 9/11. Why did they go after Afghanistan and Iraq? Why? There was
no
there
reason.
was no reason at all to go after them two countries, but it was an excuse.
Yeah.
What they're
they
saying is that whenever there is a currency issue in America, they just start finding someone to
fight,
to create a war basically, and then break their currency down, make theirs stronger.
Yeah. And that's what's and that's what kind of scares me a little bit as well, because obviously during the 9/11 thing, like Biden did vote for it, and that's what kind of scares me. Like he was for that war, which obviously you're like, it didn't make sense for them to go into it, and he was for it. So it's like him obviously back in power now.
200,000 military people lost their lives, let alone the amount of Iraqis that have innocent Iraqis that have died as well. So that's a lot of people.
And now that I'm like thinking, and now obviously now that it's back in power again, it's like, would he then start that war machine again and start saying, okay, we need to go back into the Middle East and start drone strike in every country and start
They're still doing it, bro. They're still doing it to all these. Yeah, they didn't stop.
Yeah.
George Bush started it. Did George Bush started it?
Yeah, George Bush.
Or
because it was
Obama
George
started
Bush.
it. Yeah, and then Obama increased it, and then Trump
it.
increased it again.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that means Biden will just continue what's already there and just keep going.
And also they do things what they call a double tap or double tap. What it's called? They do a double drop. So you drop the first one, then the first responders come, then you drop it on them. And that's like, I won't say standard procedure, but it's so common that it's got a name for it. That they willingly drop 2 lots of bombs on a certain location, so they kill the responders and the medics and people that are trying to help.
That is cruel. That is actually,
to say the least.
That is cruel. I don't know, man. It's like you always wonder, like, if certain countries didn't exist, do you think the world would be a better place?
Better place.
Yeah. Like, do you think it would, if certain countries, like, obviously I don't want to name names.
Yeah. No. But again, Britain's done horrible things. To the Commonwealth. Even the name Commonwealth, it wasn't common.
It's not.
I mean, all the resources didn't go commonly, did they?
No, it's just
the resources didn't go to everywhere else. They all came to one country, which was England.
That's it.
So even the name,
way.
the name. What wealth has anybody gained?
None.
From and we didn't love them so much. We wanted to go and kill them and take their country over so we could put democracy there.
But they left it as ruined as possible.
That's what they always do, innit? That's what they always do.
Part of their process of I don't know what they call it in their own governmental words, but what they do, they go to a country, invade it, destroy it, divide it, and then
take the resources
back to wherever they want it.
Yeah, and that's what.
And then get their currency back up again, like as we were mentioning. And stock market's rising. Oh yeah, money is coming in.
We did it. We did it in the UK. We did it in England with how many troops we sent to Iraq, and we knew it was a fake war, that we were going there for no reason. We lost so many people doing that, and I think the majority of the country I was only young at the time. I think we were all young at the time.
We're all young,
I think I was year 4, year 5. So I was like 9 or 10 or something. And I remember going, I don't want to go to war. I was a little kid. I understood the concept of no, unless they're doing something bad, we don't need to go to war with them. And now we realize it's a mistake. But again, we're withdrawing troops, but it's like nobody knows. It's a good thing, it's a bad thing. It's just it happened, we're out.
I know.
There's no explanation of, okay, this was a success. This is why we went in there. This is what we went to do. This is what we came out. This is the number of casualties. This is the number of civilians that were injured. We just know we came out.
That's it.
They know the numbers. And they're not stupid. They're good at taking numbers.
So we just went in there to destabilize the country, and then
It has been
develop their
destabilized,
resources.
that's for sure. But it did help in the Kurds in one way to formalize the Iraqi region of their own government. But even that's just turned into, people are still fed up. Things aren't going the way they want it to go. There's still this rich versus poor.
Yeah.
The society's all. I don't even know if I should call it capitalism. It's not. It's just corrupted, and it's just no one's happy.
Yeah.
Back then, during the Saddam days, they actually say, regardless of all the issues they had over there in terms of innocent killings and the Shia killings and things like that, in those parts of Kurdistan, especially in Iraq, they actually say, I really fond of the time of Saddam because we had everything, we were happy, and people were
The
happy.
system.
Yeah, the system was working. Yeah, okay, people were innocently dying and killed and things like that, but that was only if you were fighting against the government, if you were retaliating or being a rebel. But if you weren't, you were living a very good life over there. The currency was really good. They had nightclubs, they had pubs. This is a Muslim country, but they had that sort of freedom and life there. But it was, like I said, as long as you supported the government, you were fine. If you hated them, then you had issues. That's what happened.
Yeah, I think that's the same in here as well. Like, if you support, obviously they won't outright kill you, but they will, they'll be keeping an eye on you, if you do go against the government. So, and it's just strange that obviously now the entire of Middle East now, most of the country now is like they've lost their history. They don't. I feel like their history have been robbed from them because if your country have been invaded and everything important has been destroyed, your history will kind of be gone. Like all of the Syrians now, all the Syrians that are like all the Syrian refugees and stuff that are coming now, give it a few generations, they won't know where they're originally from because they're gonna be like they've left their country and all of the history and stuff that's within that country is destroyed. Then they're gonna be lost. They won't know where
But
they're from.
I think the truth will always come out for me. Whether it be 100 years, 200 years, we'll end up finding this information out, and the truth will always rise because the lies will always have too many holes in it.
Yeah.
So
but
that's what I think. So now we've got the internet. Now it secures everything and immortalizes everything.
Yeah.
So
I guess so. Yeah. I guess so.
Well,
But just too late.
at least we got some good news this week with the next gen releases because this is just a question, right?
Yeah.
Do you think? I mean, thinking about it, I was just thinking about it today actually. That the timing of these next gen releases is just a way to cover up what the hell's going on around the world. Do you think that could be a possibility?
No.
I don't know actually.
No, because think about it. Why would
perfect time for Chris? I think. Duan, you remember years ago when we were at uni and you went off early to get your PS3,
PS4?
PS4, yeah.
What time was that?
2013. It was like November 2013.
What time of year was that?
Yeah. It was a similar time. No, I know what you're saying. What I'm saying,
I know what you're saying, bro, and I want to agree, but at the same time, with Christmas coming up, with people staying home, it's perfect.
But shops being locked as well.
But they can't delay it, though.
Bro, it's all online. People that buy PS5s know about online stuff.
Yeah. If they delay it, that would start another protest. If they delay it to
it's just a fury. I mean, like I said, there's arguments for, arguments against, as always. But it feels a bit. They could have delayed it and just because there are still, especially with what people are saying now, Xbox actually have a lot of hardware issues. PlayStation have hardware issues as well. So they feel like, actually, I spent my money now. I have to wait another 3 months. Or whenever the next availability is to replace it. There's a lot of quantity of number of people asking for replacement, more than the last gen.
Really? Is it that bad?
Well, it's not that bad. If there's defects, it seems like they just rush to get it out as soon as possible. Obviously, because the numbers are demanding. The PlayStation are saying that the numbers of people ordering are in the millions, whereas the Xbox is within the thousands. So obviously there's that
that's low
difference, and the selling is a lot more than the last gen in this sort of launch period.
Wow. Oh,
I mean, it's good that we're having this because if we're going to be locked down, it's something to keep our mind away from this crap that we've had.
It's escapism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like I say. It's. Well, I was thinking. Do you think maybe the timing of this release and all
yeah, like we need to give him something good, innit? They've been depressed for too long. If you go online and you see how people act with their with the PlayStation 5, there's some people serenading the PlayStation.
What? Sorry.
Serenading it. So there's this YouTuber that's called Tyrone. It's like he got the PlayStation 5, so he just held it close to him and they started singing to it and then caressing. It says the PlayStation 5 is replacing his girlfriend. And I started singing to it and I was saying, oh, that is my baby. I don't know, man.
I call it the I always make a joke about it to my parents that I'm having a child soon, and they're like, what you have a child soon? Yeah, it's just a bit different these days, Dad or Mom. The way it works now is that they deliver it to your home than it actually going to the hospital to pick it up and things like that. I was like, what is this? This is something new. Technology. I was like, yeah, basically it's a PS5. Oh, fuck.
And Yalda, and then your wife's like, yep, I get it.
Yeah, she gets it. She finds it funny whenever I say that. But
yeah, don't let your PS5 replace your wife.
It's already replaced it. What are you talking about? I've even found a spot for it.
You kicked your wife out of the house.
And it hasn't even arrived yet.
When is it arriving? I thought it was already here already, right?
In America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, and I think Japan and Singapore, they've already received theirs yesterday. But I only received the accessories, so the controller, the headset, and the camera. But next week, Thursday,
I take that. Yeah, that's your PS5.
You just got the accessories, bro. That's what Joe
my son's toys right now.
It's like getting the wheels, the steering wheel, the shell of the car, and no engine.
No
engine. Drive it.
Pretending to drive a car. Oh, jeez.
Oh my days! I swear things are so different now.
It's just
like before is that how they normally deliver consoles? I swear they never do that before. They send this accessories
to the store, isn't it? That's how it was. You had to go to the store to pick up.
Yeah, not get the controller and headset. They say, okay, you get the console next week.
Yeah.
So you're just supposed to stare at the controller for a week.
Well, I've kind of felt and I've looked at it, pretending that I'm playing games with it.
You have to
lifestyle, man.
No, it's just funny the analogy that you get all this stuff and then they go, well, deliver the main bit later. Imagine if Amazon comes and delivers a package and they've not got anything inside the package yet. They're like, oh yeah, the actual package is coming later. So it's like the main thing that you're waiting for doesn't come. Like I just find it funny. Or like if you're getting cereal or something and they go, well, we're bringing the milk and the cereal later, but here's the bowl and the spoon.
Just imagine.
So that you can simulate eating breakfast with our product next week.
I think companies now are becoming more and more lazy. Like obviously they know we're not gonna complain, so they just do whatever. Like is it before that you said is it iPhone now that they're trying to sell the phone without a charger or something? Or I can't remember. I don't know who said it. Yeah, so that's companies are just like He's just not caring. Just like, well,
It's quite disappointing. I mean, UK should be as part of that list of announcement. You got the Xbox One already released on Tuesday, I think, and that was worldwide on one date worldwide. Whereas the PlayStation, it's. I mean, you just wait an extra week, but it just feels
still.
like, would have been nice to have it now and test it.
That week is long.
Rather than here's your accessories. But just like Neil was saying,
why are they teasing?
Wait another week. Tease, yeah, exactly.
I know they're like teasing you. Like, just say, what you should do is turn on your PS4, get your PlayStation 5 controller, put it on top of your PlayStation 4 controller, pretend as if you're playing a game, so you feel like you have a PlayStation 5.
That's how it is. No, but it's when I looked at it, it's quite nice. The controller, the headset. I haven't tested. I opened them up,
bro.
No, you can test it. You can test it on your computers and stuff. You can even connect it to PS4.
Yeah, his microphone's really, really good, guys. Like not plugged in and everything.
But that's that, yeah. But what I did, I just felt it and put it on and things like that. But afterwards, I just repackaged it and just said, I'll just put it to a side until next week.
Yeah, so the rest of it arrives.
It's not.
The rest of it. I don't know, man. But what I do feel sorry for like freaking Xbox. Like,
no, you know what though? To be fair, I think the Xbox and looking at it and what it supports and things like that is actually a better hardware than the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But the Xbox just doesn't have games.
I know.
That's where the issue is. If you don't have games, then what am I gonna have you for?
Exactly.
Movies? Come on.
What was Netflix about?
Yeah, you get faster. At least you get faster Netflix on Xbox. So, like when you click on it, it just opens up so quickly. Like that's the positive.
Bro, you're struggling now, aren't you? You're struggling for ideas, innit? Oh, there's loads of Netflix quicker. Yeah, because Xbox. When I think Netflix, I think, oh mate, I need to get an Xbox.
I'm trying to sell the Xbox.
No, but have you ever used, the smart TVs? Or the Android TV? They all already have built-in apps. Netflix.
Exactly.
What do you call that other one? Rakuten. All these other apps. Disney Plus. That I'm using these apps, and they're instant. You just press enter, you sign in straight away with a click of a button, and it's actually it saves you energy because you don't have to power up another device just to do all that. Whereas everything's built in smart TVs, and it's more quicker. You just press an app, bam. You get.
Or if it's old, get a Chromecast. They're like 30.
Chromecast or the Amazon Fire Stick.
That's what I've got.
Yeah, and they cost what, 20 quid?
Yeah, £20. Yeah, £20, £30. Yeah, and that's probably what's obviously stopping people from watching television because because of the Chromecast, I don't even watch like television anymore. I don't even know why I'm still paying TV license.
I don't get it, man. The whole thing, the situation is, if you're using YouTube in your house,
should you be paying TV
any streaming? You still have to pay TV license.
Why? You're paying for the internet already.
Yeah, well, it's just the way the government wants to take money from you, unfortunately.
Really?
Oh, it is, isn't it? Why do you need me, man? Why do you need me to pay for this? I'm paying for your bloody water bills.
Yeah.
And in other countries, water's free.
Oh shit, we're in the free country,
Well, what is this, man? You know what I'm saying? It's frustrating. In other countries, the internet is free as well.
Oh shit.
I think what should happen is, if you're employed, you should get some services free. You know what I mean? Unemployed. Well, obviously, I'm saying
Corbyn was asking for that. Corbyn was asking for broadband to be free and other things, and people didn't believe him. People didn't believe that he could actually.
Get it.
I think we're too sick. It's like Stockholm syndrome. We're so fed up with the way things were. When somebody actually comes along and says, "Hey, we're actually going to do this," and people just laughed at him. I'm like, well, it is what it is. And you see now they're just kicking him out. But but again, it's like people are actually. I think people are on board, but I think the way politics has been in the past and the way it's going forward now, I think there's a different generation, I think, of the way that things used to be done and now the way things are done. I think the way that a politician interacts with their constituency is completely different now with the internet. Now, if they want to actually, because it's not just about what their policies are, it's about who they are as a person. If you're looking at some of the people that are coming up now that are really important, it's what they've done with their lives, what they've been in favor of, who they've, like, they're not just a shitty person. Do you know what I mean? I think that's more relevant than ever. And with the internet now, it's easier to show it.
Yeah, you can sort of like it's more about the character of an individual now instead of just
instead of saying they're going to do this policy, it's well, what have they done in the past as well? What characters are they fighting for? I think, do you know what I mean? So they're not just being a scumbag politician and then going, oh yeah, I want to do X and X. When you're like, well, hang on, you've like Joe Biden, the whole thing at the moment where it's, oh yeah, I care about people, and then voting against war in Iraq, for example. Like, if that was nowadays and they found that out with the internet, people would have just been like, well, hang on, you weren't back then. Sure, you can change, but you've not even apologized for it.
Yeah. I think there was a time when he said, there's something that he said. He said when he was young, right? He's like, I think a woman who was trying to ask me a question about I think gay people. So he said what would you do about like gay people? Like, how would you make a law that would improve their lives? And it's like, when I was young, right, I came out of a car with my dad, and I saw two men kissing, and I was like, Dad, what do you think of that? And Dad is like, you're in love. And then I went to go read the comments of that video, and they're like, people are like making joke and saying, nah, that's not what your dad said.
Bro, the guy's 77 years old.
Exactly.
It was, I think, when he was alive, it was being homosexual was considered a mental illness and would get banged up in a mental asylum just for being homosexual. So, yeah, they're in love. Nah.
People are saying
people won't even say that now.
Exactly. People are not saying that now, and then they're saying this way. People are saying that. Don't
also,
stop
as a kid, you're just like, yeah, whatever. You're just like, oh, they're just a couple in it, and then the kids go, all right. And the kids don't. I don't think kids care really.
I know. Yeah. I don't.
Who cares at that age of sexuality?
I know. I was Beyblading during that time. I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Beyblading when I was
exactly.
I didn't care about
Pokemon cards or whatever cards. Playing these games.
Yeah.
Or,
care about what trainers they've got.
Trainers and I remember back there Air Max. Oh, you got the sick 90s, man. That's how it was. That's sick, man. No, there was no, what those two doing there?
I know, no, you're doing
sexualizing and shit.
And also, you're not aware of it when you were younger as well. Just kind of like, people are just like, do you know what I mean? It's like, there's like, you find girls disgusting, but at the same time, you realize that your parents are kind of, you do realize that you'll get there eventually. It's not like, I'll always be like this. You look at your parents, you're like, well, they made it work. Or you see couples and you're like, yeah, they're going out there. Okay. So you understand that, like, I'm not going to be this way forever. But at the same time, there is a certain innocence that's kind of like, yeah, this is the way it is.
And I think they should leave kids to have that innocence. They shouldn't steal it away from them.
But how are they stealing it away from them?
Because I think now what they're trying to do now, I think maybe there's a law that they're trying to pass that would obviously teach like kids in like primary school, like 5-year-olds and stuff, about sexuality, about like all of those kind of things. And I'm like, should they really be teaching them at that young age? They should, let them grow a bit more. Come on, let them grow a bit more. Let them kind of.
But what specifically are they teaching them? That's my question.
About this homosexual, like my last job, I was speaking to my colleague, and he was saying about how kids go to school and nowadays and learning about homosexuality and lesbians and gays and things like that, and how they should be, basically the sexual life. And it's like, well, you're not at the age of sex.
I don't know if that's going to be sex then. I think it will be later on, because for us, like, we did stuff that was like towards about year 5, and that was towards like periods and difference between men and women and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then when you got secondary school, so I don't think they're going to teach about sex then. I think what this is just made up by a lot of people, because it's like a lot of people with bad that think that sexuality should be illegal and it shouldn't be allowed like at all, and these people should be fined and jailed. They start you by telling you this narrative of they're teaching it to 5-year-olds, and then most people go, well, why do they need to know about it? And that starts you on the slope to eventually being over here. So I don't think they're doing it. I genuinely don't think that they're teaching people about sex, because again, whether that's gay, straight, whatever, sex is just kind of,
I just
you
think,
don't know what it is, but you just know it's a rude word.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah,
You know, it's a rude word, and you're like,
yeah,
people aren't talking about that for a reason. So
yeah.
like, all right.
They should
It
stay.
shouldn't really be taught to
I know, yeah.
5-year-olds or
I
even
don't know if it
kids.
actually will be though.
It is. That's
but
the
it
thing.
is.
Like I said, my colleague, he was just worried that his kid, and he actually spoke to the teacher. So why are you teaching my kid these things? I don't want them to learn this. More from a religious perspective as well. More frustrated, but at the end of the day, he was just. I didn't care about religion or whatever. I just thought, wow, in the future I'm gonna have kids and they're gonna teach them that. I'll be asking them, no, don't, I don't want them in those classrooms. I don't want them to learn things like that. That's their own opinion. If they want to come out being gay or whatever, that's their opinion. You don't have to force this knowledge on their head to make them think about these things. That's not important. That's not relevant to them getting a degree, if that's what they're looking for, or an apprenticeship, or a job in the future. That's not relevant. The way they become is from, the teachers are the role models, and you don't want them to be learning these sort of subjects that isn't important for them at that age. In secondary school, okay, teach them, this is wrong, this is right. I get it. They have the mind to think and understand at that stage. But now, like in early years of under 10, just doesn't make sense. You just want to go out and play games.
Yeah. I think that's very true, because it's like them being very young, and you're teaching them those kind of things. It's like you're literally trying to reprogram those kids, and you're somewhat stealing their innocence in a very early stage. Like, imagine now, if once we have kids, they go to school like at the age of 5 now, and they come back to you and and they say, like, normally they wouldn't even know what sex means. They wouldn't even know what happened, but then they just come back and say, oh, dad, oh, mom, dad, or tell me how sex between two men happens, or how sex between a man and a woman happens. Like, could you tell me how that happens? And then you're like, wait, what? How? You're 5. You shouldn't even be asking this question. You should still be a child. You should still have that innocence of not knowing how the world works. You should still have that. They shouldn't steal that from children yet.
Yeah.
You should let them have the innocence. And then when your brain starts to like develop or get to a stage where they can start comprehending stuff, then you can start teaching them that, okay, this is bad, this is good, if you want, you have the right to like another man if you're a man. You have a right to like another woman if you're a woman. It's fine when they can start to comprehend that, but don't just teach it to them when they're very young. It would just completely ruin it, like ruin their entire innocence. Like, imagine now, if I was a kid and I learned all those stuff when I was like 5, I might have turned out very different.
I don't know if it's 5, but I'm just looking on the government website now, and it looks like it's primary school.
Yeah, primary school.
But it's not about sex.
I know, but that's what.
It's the homosexuality.
But that's what
leads. Questions. They start asking questions about it.
Yeah, because if like, imagine kids are curious. If they start normally, they're trying to teach children about homosexuality at that young age. They don't even teach children about relationship between a man and a woman, because it will make kids curious to think what it is. Like, they'll be like, wait, what is that?
But they already kind of know that from the relationship they have with their parents, because the majority of the time their parents are going to be straight. and they're
I
going to
know.
be encountering with straight people, so they do know the kind of relationships and what happens and stuff. I think kids are aware of this stuff. A
I
lot of
know.
this stuff, I think kids are aware. I was saying to a friend of mine recently, and I was like, kids are very aware of what's going on, but they just don't know the right words or feelings to quite turn it into English.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess. But I just think that, they should always be a limit. They should be a limit to things, and just allow kids to be kids, really. It happens in the animal jungle. Homosexuality does exist, and there isn't. I don't see other animals teaching. I don't see them teaching each other how it is to be
Femi, that's so
homosexual.
dumb.
It's just natural, and it happens naturally.
Yeah, I know, but of course they're not going to have pigeon school. That's such a dumb thing to say. Oh, you're gonna have pigeon school and giraffe school. You're gonna drop them off there. Oh, the bullies
you
got
see a
long
bunch
neck.
of pigeons, and you see the pigeon teacher just teaching the entire.
Yeah, it's how you shit on humans. Yeah, year 4.
Or maybe they do, but we can't see them.
That's it, man. What was it called? No, that was crows, wasn't it? 4 lions. Do you remember the 4 lions? They're trying to detect the crow. That was such a bad film. Oh, it was. I don't even know why it was. I don't. If you guys watched 4 Lions, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't think
It's
so.
an awful movie,
It's
but
so
it's quite funny.
it's
just
dude.
dumb.
You think it was? I rewatched it with my family. I'm like, just turn this off. It's just dead. It's a 8-minute YouTube clip that's dragged out into an hour and a half.
Really?
Oh man, it's just not even, sometimes not even funny. It's just like, oh, it's just so dead.
I need to see it.
I think, when I watched it at the time, it was funny, obviously, once, but I haven't rewatched it after that once. Maybe.
I think it just looks bad in a modern context. I was like, oh, it just looks so shit.
Well,
and like,
I will need to see it.
There's about the best bits, and I'm just anyway. Yeah, it's kind of funny, but I'm just like, yeah. Like I watched Borat for the first time recently.
Borat.
Which one? The first one?
Yeah, and then I watched the second one as well. That was funny.
It's the most stupidest movie. The first one I watched back in when it was.
Back in the day, it was like really controversial and it was at the beginning when they're talking about Jewish. I was like, bloody hell, man, they're towing a line when they're saying about Jewish people, whatever. And then as the film got on, I was like, oh, I get it now. He's a character, and it's actually revealing about how America is actually this kind of country that it makes. This is the real America.
Yeah, basically.
And Sacha Baron Cohen is so good at getting people to behave certain ways and with certain queries,
Yeah.
So when that's the case, people only mention high five, very nice, and I'm like, yeah, but that's a little bit of it, but that's all people were saying in secondary school was high five, very nice. But you're like missing the massive part.
That's right, yeah. Because we don't think about.
I was watching it. I was like, "Yo, you've watched something else. Like, there's so much more that you could have took from that film, and it was so clever at times, so clever."
When he sings, Kazakhstan's the greatest country.
Yeah. Everybody just hates on him, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Basically, that's
potassium, number 1 potassium. It's so good. It's so good. I thought it was really funny, and then everybody's like, boo. And that was the funny joke, not the fact that he's actually. I just think it was so funny at times. I was just like, this is just.
But he's such a crazy guy. The fact that he takes these risks and he's happy to do it.
It's funny, man. I'll show you these guys a clip afterwards. Have you seen the Who is America? He does this. He pretends to be an Israeli soldier. It's so funny. It's like the same thing, but he turns it into a series, right? And he's going around to these right-wing people in America and like pretending that he's an Israeli soldier that's going to teach them Krav Maga. It's funny, man. Some of the stuff he makes some guy get his arse out and then like go backwards into the thing and goes America. It's so funny. The amount of stuff they get them to do, And they're like, yeah, well, it's how are you gonna get a Mexican? He goes, oh, so they put like a fake vagina on one of the guys and fake breasts, and they pretend that he's a 15-year-old quinceañera girl.
What?
It's so good. But I honestly have a new level of respect for what he achieved. 'Cause obviously, I think when we were growing, it was kind of Ali G show era, right?
Ali G,
And then Borat
G
came up.
now.
Yeah. And then I didn't quite get it when I was younger, but now I'm like, oh, I get it. These people actually have no idea that this guy's a character. No idea.
Ruin it.
That's what's brilliant about it. Yeah, exactly.
It's just
Oh,
it's stupid, obviously, and there are things that is uncomfortable when you're watching it, but it's a lot of the main parts that shows like you said of America and how their sort of perception of the world except for themselves is in that movie. All that information is there, and I did enjoy it from watching it from that perspective. But in some ways, I do actually feel sympathy to Kazakhstan because of the way he portrays them into this sort of.
But if you look at it recently, right, they introduced Borat because in the beginning they like banned him from the country. They were going to sue him.
Yeah.
The reason why they picked Kazakhstan is because nobody really knows a lot of, especially for America. They wouldn't know anything about it, so we could kind of make up what he wanted. But they realized they tried to sue him and this and the other. Then they got a massive boost in tourism. People coming to, so literally when Borat 2 was announced, they've got, I'll see if I can find it and like give it to you guys in chat. Kazakhstan has got like Kazakhstan very nice, like as their slogan.
Oh my days.
Literally, because they're like playing into it.
Wow. So all of them are probably going to go in there expecting all of them to be like Borat.
Yeah, probably. But it's actually a beautiful country, from what I've seen from the pictures. I've obviously never visited, but it's probably one place to try out and visit.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. I'll just post it in the chat.
Is it the first movie or the second movie?
I haven't watched the second.
Oh, you've not watched the second?
The first one's better than the second, in my opinion, but it was always hard to follow up number one because it was so brilliant. But number two is still decent, but there's less emphasis on Borat and more emphasis on his daughter.
No.
In the film.
Oh, okay.
And
is it in a good way or?
No, in a good way. But getting like a lot of the characters that they're playing and stuff like that. It's like he goes in and he's trying to give her a makeover and he goes, which one would attract the racist the most? And he's talking like the shades of skin tone on the wall. Which one would be more likely for pedophiles and race people, racists? She goes, this one. Because she's just trying to sell a product. I'm just like, this is funny. But I just posted it now. If you have a look. They actually use Kazakhstan's very nice as the slogan because they're like playing into it, and again it's like that's cool. At the end of the day they got money from it. So and Sacha Baron Cohen's gone. I don't have anything against people of Kazakhstan. It's a lovely country with lovely people. Yeah. However, I just needed a country and it unfortunately had to be yours.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Then I'm probably gonna have to see the both of them. I've never seen both of them. I've not actually seen.
The first one is very original, and for the time it was so funny. Yeah. I've never laughed so hard at a movie in a while, and I'm normally quite critical. That one was funny. I don't want to spoil anything for me, but
guy as well. I can't remember his name.
Also, it pushes the limit big time, and it makes you feel quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, it does.
That's good.
Just try to watch it on your own better than sitting with your family.
Don't watch it with your family. Don't watch it with your family. It makes you, again, some parts of it make you super uncomfortable, but that's the whole point.
Yeah, I'll watch it on my own.
There's a part
I'll lock
about
the door and everything
where I think where his advisor leaves just before that. I don't want to spoil it, but
the small guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I need to see.
Um,
And he tries to
no,
kidnap.
don't spoil it.
Oh yeah.
But
I
it's
know.
gonna be a
Don't
surprise
spoil it
Femi.
from
Yeah.
I watch it.
Well,
It's just
it
hilarious.
was so funny because I was like, you can't get away with this, and
Yeah.
they got away with it.
Uh,
It's so funny. You'll see bits in it. You're like, oh, this is funny, and it's so some of it is so ridiculous that it's so funny as well.
wow.
Like it's so funny. He tries and buys what was it? He tries and buys like a 4x4 in America, and he's like, how many libtard people can I run down with this car before it
Yo.
stops? And the guy goes, I'd say about 8. He goes, what, does one time or in a row or the guy goes, I don't know, maybe it's like I'd say about 12 in one go. He goes, okay,
Yo.
good.
Yo. That is.
Literally, that's the line he's pushing.
Whoa. Okay.
It's good.
It is good though. The
Oh,
the second one is still it's more to do with the politics and under Donald Trump how America has changed and
Mhm.
political figures about that. The first one is just about Americans and America.
Yeah, America. Yeah.
But I think you'll enjoy it because it's like what the fuck. And again, it's obviously a small minority of people that are like this, but it
Yeah.
still shows that this is prevalent across America. And
Yeah.
he's not even trying hard to like prove that to like go out of the way, but he's just being the character that he is. And I don't know how he not gets away with it, how he comes across and how he doesn't break character. He doesn't break character, and I'm like, dude, I would be like killing myself after this. I'll try and show you one afterwards about one of the. He does a. I'll show you guys after this video as well. It's so funny about. In the recent one, he pretends to be a vlogger from like Finland or something, and he's like, they have unboxings. He's like, oh, we're unboxing Shopkins and talking to like major US figures about like gun control. And like, the donut says, I don't like it. What did you say? And these guys are going in on this plastic little donut. It's just stupid. I love it. It's so funny. I just rate him so much as like, he's literally doing journalism at the same time, just showing you that this
What that is.
exists in the world as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch it then. Like that's gonna be what I'm gonna do during quarantine. Just gonna lock myself in my room and just watch it.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. It is just funny.
Yeah. I think. Like, do you think do you think we should end it at there? It's about 1 hour and what?
Yeah.
I
7
was gonna
minutes.
say it's about 1 hour 20 at the moment.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we've been talking for a while, but
That's usually what happens, isn't it?
you know, also we'll leave him on a cliffhanger, Femi. Next time we'll do this. If you've watched Borat, we'll get your review on it as well. That'd be quite cool.
Then we
So
can
yeah,
spoil
thank
it.
you all if you've made it this
Thank you, guys.
far. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
From me, Femi, Dewan, we'll see you all guys in the next video. So goodbye.
Take care, everyone.